Dealing with inexplicable change. Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. One of the things that I've advocated for a very long time is that your approach, or rather your tolerance for change, is probably one of the biggest factors determining how well a relationship you're going to have with technology. And I mean that both indirectly, as in you'll feel better about it, but in a very weird way, directly. People that have a better tolerance for change have a better experience with technology. Things just work better. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't seem like there should be a connection. But in my experience, there absolutely is. I want to explain a little bit about how I deal with this, because I'm not immune, right? There are changes that I don't like, I don't want, or in some cases that I think are absolutely nuts. And yet, I deal with them. Good example, OneDrive's new backup feature. This is the feature in OneDrive, and I've got an article on it, the problem with OneDrive backup, that is advertised as being a feature which will back up your important documents, your music, your videos, your whatever, by default into OneDrive.com. Sounds kind of good on the surface. The problem is that by default, if you've got a free Microsoft account, as most people do, you have 5 gigabytes of storage in OneDrive. If your documents or the stuff you're backing up exceeds 5 gigabytes, then it'll all get uploaded or try to be uploaded. OneDrive will start to complain that you've run out of room and, hey, wouldn't you like to buy some? Well, if you don't buy some, and if you don't basically reshuffle your life so as to move documents out of OneDrive to free up space to bring it under that 5 gigabyte level, it's going to start deleting stuff. This makes no sense, particularly because you can lose data because of it. I mean, seriously, it just makes no sense to me. Now, what do? Well, I get to choose my response. Now, I could get frustrated and angry, and I may have, actually, for a short period of time, because that doesn't help anything. The solutions that we have available for, say, a problem like this is, for example, avoid OneDrive completely. Stop using it. And that's what some people are doing. In fact, I've got an article on how to uninstall or disconnect OneDrive so that it's just not part of your life anymore. You could get more storage. That's a very pragmatic solution, right? You throw more money at the problem. It's not even a lot of money. And all of a sudden, you've got a terabyte of storage instead of 5 gigabytes, and you're in great shape. You've got this backup feature that's working for you. You've got OneDrive. You're great. Except you've now signed up for an annual subscription. C'est la vie. Turn off the feature and clean up the mess. This is the difficult one. This is the one that, honestly, I wish worked better for people, because you would think that if you just turned off that feature, everything would go back to the way it was. But unfortunately, that is simply not the case. There's actual legwork you need to do to recover from this scenario after you turn the feature off. But that's an option. And of course, for completeness, another option that I hear about frequently in my various comments are to dump Windows completely. Just use this as another excuse to basically run away from Windows, use a Mac, or switch to Linux, or do whatever. And from my perspective, sure, if that's what you want to do, absolutely, go for it. I've got no problem with that at all. However, it's just not a practical or pragmatic solution for a lot of people. It's not pretty. None of these solutions are pretty, but at least we have some options. The one thing you and I cannot change is how OneDrive works. We can't change the thing we're dealing with. We can get angry, we can get upset. That doesn't help. Honestly, the only thing you can do with that anger or that upsettedness is to perhaps use the feedback hub where Microsoft supposedly solicits your feedback and, again, supposedly listens to it, to express our displeasure with this particular feature. But then it's time to move on. Continuing to be angry and upset just doesn't help. Understanding what is and is not in your control and letting go of what you can't control is key. I can't control what OneDrive does. That's the way they've designed it. Maybe someday it'll change, but right now, this is what I have, like it or not. I don't have to like it. But there's no point in me being angry about it. Instead, I need to choose how I'm going to deal with it. In my case, well, I already have Microsoft 365, so I've got a terabyte. It's not a personal issue for me, but I've also chosen to turn it into articles that help people deal with this issue. That's in my control. Those kinds of choices are in my control. And once I've made a choice, well, that's it. I'm done. I'm either using it or not using it. I'm dealing with whatever choice I've made. It still continues to be what it is. I've simply chosen how I'm going to deal with it. Now, the reaction I get, and I'm using OneDrive as an example. This actually applies to just about any change that you encounter that you disagree with. The response that I often get is, but Leo, it's just not that easy. Never said it was. Seriously, I don't mean to be flip. It's not easy to let go of that frustration depending on what kind of an issue you're dealing with and how connected to it you happen to feel. The OneDrive one is particularly bad because you can lose data. That shouldn't happen, right? But again, that frustration isn't serving anyone, especially not yourself. Be upset. Get it out of your system, and then research your options, make a choice, and move on. Change is hard. I totally get that. And not everyone is inclined to deal with change particularly well. I get that too. But the grim reality of what we're dealing with is that change is inevitable. It's not going to stop just because you don't like it. Features aren't going to change back to what they were just because you don't like them. You have choices to make. Move forward or not. Do something different or not. Accept what it is or not. That's what's in your control. That's the choice you get to make. And once having made it, moving on is absolutely the best way not to drive yourself completely crazy. Trust me, the amount of change that I've seen in Windows, in technology, if I really carried forward that frustration with everything I didn't like, I would be a basket case today. I don't think I am. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/14337. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.